Thank you all for being here today. We're very excited to have everybody here. And before we begin, I just want to set the tone for today. I want to ask everybody settle in, take a deep breath. The time we have together here is to pause from our busyness of our days and open ourselves to something greater than us. Today is about listening with respect, about reflecting on truths that are sometimes difficult but important, and about opening our hearts and minds to voices that have too often gone unheard. So I'm inviting everybody to please put aside all of our distractions in this moment, including things like cell phones, okay? So we're gonna make sure we're putting all distractions aside, and we're gonna enter this space with focus, care, humility, as we honor the stories, teachings, and traditions that are shared with us today. And at this time, I'd like to call up one of our GW Graham students, Charlotte, who's going to provide us with a welcome and an opening for our time together.
Good morning, GW Graham. My name is Charlotte, and I am a grade 12 student here at GW Graham. And I have had the honor of doing the land acknowledgement for you today. I have lived in Chilliwack my entire life, and I'm a fifth-generation settler. My great-great-grandparents moved to Canada in the early 1900s, and my family has lived here ever since. In elementary school, we often did Indigenous crafts and activities to learn more about their culture. Some of the many things we did were helping carve out a canoe from the trunk of a tree. We were taught how to play the spoons. We made bannock. We listened to stories in the longhouse, and we did so much more. In middle school, we didn't do as much learning about Indigenous people except for the yearly assemblies, which is probably due to it being COVID during my middle school years. Now that I'm in high school, I learned way more about Indigenous issues, Indigenous culture, and Indigenous history due to the Indigenous learning courses here at the school. I am so privileged to be able to have learned and get to learn so much about Indigenous people, and I'm so grateful to learn, play, and work on the Stalo unceded traditional territory of the Palal, Samath, and Chilkoyak tribes. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. And at this time, we're going to call for Tyrell Williams and family. As well, we have 3 of our own GW Graham students who are going to join, Jolia Joe, Alex Wilson, and Talila Jackson, to share in some drumming, singing, and dancing to start us out in a good way.
want to raise my hands up to the staff. Check 20. First of all, I really want to raise my hands up to the staff for, inviting my family here to be able to come and share a little bit of that culture, come and share a little bit of who they are. My sister here, she's been doing this for a lot of years, and I remember when I was in high school, I got to go and see their family do this, coming out, sharing the culture, sharing our identity, who we are as Quilmuk people. We grew up here in the Shiltwayup territory, and the older I get, the more I get to see things like this, where our people are coming together as one. Not just our First Nations people, but everybody here in Chilliwack. Coming together to learn, coming together to share, coming together to be together, to understand and remember that there was hardships in our history. There was sickness, sadness, and sorrows, but today we can come together and stand as one and learn and acknowledge one another in a good way. Really raising our hands up to the youth for the willingness to learn, the willingness to not be backwards about learning their culture, coming up here and showing their courage, showing their strength. As these days to come, as we talk about truth and reconciliation, a lot of people, always look at those grand gestures, but it starts just right here with our young ones. Starts with our young people to really acknowledge that we're not in that place anymore, where we're allowed to flourish, we're allowed to thrive as a people. And we're allowed to sit here with each and every one of you and feel good feelings and feel good things in our heart as we practice who we are and showcase who we are. So really, again, just raising my hands up to each and every one of you, and thank you for, giving us the space to be here.
actually comes from Chiacton here. I just want to start out by thanking the staff, for always having us for Orchard Day, Indigenous Day, and graduations. I just want to start out by also thanking all the students for being open-minded. It's been quite the journey since, I've been in school. When I was in school, this wasn't really a thing, and it took us kids to kind of start breaking that cycle, and it takes a lot of teamwork to really include and start to be respectful and inclusive for our culture. I'm going to pause and I'm going to let one of your students speak their mind. Okay, kind of got put on the spot there, but I think this has been a journey. I haven't done performances lots. This is probably one of my first. And okay, so dancing, what it means to me, it's just really good medicine for myself and for my family. Having my family watch me dance and perform, it's really meaningful. And since I've started dancing, I've noticed that I've brought my family closer together, and yeah. So I'm really proud of Alex for, just stepping out of her comfort zone, and that's something that we really try to teach our youth is that, they got to take over, and that's, one way to do it is to get put on the spot. So thank you guys again for having us, and enjoy the rest of your day. Let's go.
Thank you, Tyrell and the Williams family, and also our own GW Grant students who joined. We really appreciate that. At this time, I'm really excited to introduce our next guest who is here to speak to you about truth and reconciliation. Chief Derek Epp comes to us from Chiacton First Nation, which most of you all know very well, as right here we are on Chiacton territory. And Chief Epp has generously taken time out of his busy schedule to join us on our day where we pause to reflect on truth and reconciliation. Please welcome Chief Derek Epp.
Good morning. Hey, Swill. Before I introduce myself, quick embarrassment. Madison Epp, my niece. Thank you for being pretty much my daughter. I have 3 young boys. She's my 4th child. I say my first daughter, so embarrass her today. Hi, Mads. Love you. First of all, hey, Swill. Wililik Talsqui, Talitsuqua Chiacto. Good morning. My traditional name, or my Huama Talsqui, is Wililik. My given name is Derek Epp. I'm the chief of Chiacto, also known as Chiacton First Nation. Really want to thank all the staff, the teachers, Lewis, everybody who put this together. I'm really an honor to be here, and I'm really grateful for the relationship I have with this school, this administration, and the years. I've almost been a chief a decade now, and I've been coming to GW for that entire time as well, and really enjoy this relationship. It's hard to follow up on truth and reconciliation after listening to one of our youth speaking, and Tyrell, the Williams family, and sharing a bit of our teachings, our culture with each and every one of you. So really wanting to acknowledge the Williams family, and especially those young ones. If you saw the two young boys, they're twins. They're Tyrelli's twins, and I just love seeing those young boys sharing a lot of our culture, sharing who we are, and our youth here as well. well, and a couple of those youth are actually from my community. So it brings me a lot of pride to see that and being able to share a bit of our culture with you on such an important day today, or this week. I'm always reminded by one of my counselors that Truth and Reconciliation Day isn't a day to celebrate. It's a day to remember, it's a day to learn, it's an opportunity to grow. And usually for these types of talks, I don't necessarily have an idea really what I'm going to say. I really want to speak from the heart, and that's something that I was taught. And as I was sitting here listening to the drumming and listening to a few of the students, a couple things that came to my mind is just how proud I am to be here, how proud I am to be able to be a part of these ceremonies. As it was shared, I didn't really get a lot of this when I was growing up. Well, I didn't get it at all, to be honest. I'm really proud to see our youth, our children, and the culture being integrated into so many of our events like we have here today, and seeing so many of the orange shirts as well. And really, I'm optimistic. I'm very optimistic about what the future holds for Canada, for our people, for, as it was shared, how our societies can work together. And I'm very optimistic about that. But I also want to share a truth. Being that it is Truth and Reconciliation Day, I want to share a reality of what some of the things that I go through as a leader, some of the things that I have to navigate as a leader, and the challenges that we face still today. In the face of these positive environments and the change that's going on, which I'm so proud of, there still is a lot of truths that need to be shared still today. The reality is with residential schools, they didn't close too long ago. The last one closed in 1996. And really, that legacy is still very entrenched in so many of our communities. And as a leader, I feel that. I see that in my community as well. Some of the work we've had to do over the last couple of years, because it's finally becoming a little bit more safe to do, and I use safe lightly. Trying to take care of the ones that we lost to residential school, the ones that never came home, the ones that unfortunately were either buried or really a term that was used, disposed of. And really, it's unfortunate that happened. There's many burial grounds all over the residential schools that existed. And actually, I don't know if everybody knows, but there's burial grounds on Kokalitsa grounds, Stalo Nation grounds, just down the road. 5-minute drive down the road. There's a lot of stories from my community, my family members, the Chilkowiak, the Stalo territory of young children, young adults, youth who never came home from those schools, whose spirits are still there. And we're trying to take care of that in a good way, and making sure that we're taking care of the cultural aspects and trying to locate many of these deceased individuals. But what's come with that is some negativity that, we don't necessarily like to share, but it's the truth. We've had the individuals who we've hired and engaged to work to try to recover some of those remains. I'm not kidding, have had death threats, have had people trying to find their addresses, and people trying to find these individuals because they think they're doing work that is actually still false, they think it's a lie, and they think it's not a truth. And really, we're still fighting some of these injustices, and I think that's a truth that I wanted to share with you today. And the reason I'm sharing that is because I like to remind people the importance of being an ally on days like today, and weeks like today, but not just during this time. Being an ally and sharing truths and talking about reconciliation and building relationships is so critical to our paths forward. And being an ally doesn't mean just, learning and acknowledging, but it means addressing racist behavior, addressing untruths, and addressing, quite frankly, a lot of hate mentality, but doing it in a good way. And I don't mean, addressing it and picking a fight, or addressing it and creating division, because you're probably too young to follow politics, but if you are, you can see in today's society, especially down south, the division, the divisive language that's being used. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm telling you to approach it in a very healthy and good way. And if it does become negative, walk away. Walk away. That's your safest bet you can do. And really just be sure that you're putting your best foot forward to be an ally and trying your best to bridge that gap. I always share with people, because I get asked all the time, what is reconciliation? How do I be a part of reconciliation? The simplest, most raw form of that is relationships. That's it. Relationships is getting to know where you live, getting to know the community that you may live in, and getting to know your friends, your allies, your classmates that may be Indigenous but maybe aren't ready to share their culture or really be in tune with that, and supporting them in their journey. I was one of those. I grew up on reserve. I still live on reserve. I'm really proud of that. And there's a lot of negative stigma around that. And I can say for a fact, I went to school. I get it all the time. I went for a business dinner the other night. I sat down, and there's another guy I was with who definitely looks more Indigenous than I do. And the person I was meeting thought he was the chief, not I was. And it happens all the time. I got blue eyes and a beard. Most of the time when I actually go and meet with government, they think I work in the ministry. And that's actually a truth as well. I mean, that's okay. But it's the reality of what I went through in my upbringing was very different than some of my cousins that went through a different reality as well, who just looked different. They lived next door to me, but they just looked different. And they had a very different reality than I did growing up. And it's okay to share that as well. And it's okay to be an ally. And I really just want to encourage you on this week, this year. It doesn't just happen on September 30th. I want to encourage you to carry that ideology, those values, and share those values and protect each other through these times as well. So be an ally, share truths, be optimistic about our path forward, and just build relationships. So thank you for having me. I appreciate the relationship I have with the school and continued relationship, and I really enjoy being here with you all. And enjoy your day. Enjoy the assembly.
Thank you so much, Chief Epp. It's really amazing to think and pause on that piece of how we can be allies and how this work carries forward, not just today, not just next week on September 30th, but how that can be a part of our lives as well. At this time, I'm going to ask if somebody can dim the lights. I want to share with you a video from Phyllis Webstad. Now, many of you have heard her message before, but I want to set this as a reminder for why we gather and wear orange shirts at this time of the year. What's that all about? Particularly as we look forward to September 30th, we could be wearing our orange shirts just today, we could do that tomorrow, but also I do encourage you guys to think into next week on September 30th to wear your orange shirts and to truly embody and celebrate this Orange Shirt Day.
In July of 1973, I turned 6. My grandmother brought me to town to Williams Lake to buy something new to wear. What I chose was a shiny orange shirt for my first day of school at the mission. We are here on the grounds of the mission, the former site of the St. Joseph Indian Residential School, where 3 generations of my family attended. When I got to the mission, my new shirt was taken away, and no matter how much I cried or wanted it back or protested, it didn't matter. I never did get my shirt back, and I don't have a memory of ever wearing it again.
Orange Shirt Day began with Phyllis's story at Williams Lake and has now spread across BC and Canada. The orange shirt represents the emotional, the mental, and the physical trauma that Indigenous communities endured during the residential school era and continues to endure even today. Following the confirmation of more than 1,300 unmarked graves near the former residential school sites across Western Canada, including more than 200 here in Kamloops, this story is more important than ever.
Every child matters. When I was in residential school, I felt that I didn't matter and that no one cared. We could be tired, sick, hungry, and lonely. There wasn't anyone there to tell us that it would be okay.
For all the children who survived residential schools across Canada, you matter.
For all the ones who didn't make it home, you matter. And for all the children today dealing with generations of trauma caused by residential schools, you matter.
September 30th is Orange Shirt Day, National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Wearing orange shows Canada is taking a unified step towards reconciliation. It honors our truth and hopefully continues to build a stronger relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples.
Wearing orange means standing alongside us. It means honoring our truth. It means walking with us toward a brighter future. Together we can remember and honor our past while we work together and build a better Canada.
Before we come to a close today, I want to introduce us all to a word from Halkomelem, spoken by the Stolo people of this territory, and the word is Tamiak. Tamiak translates as cousins or relatives, but the meaning goes beyond family or blood. In the Stolo worldview, it teaches that we are all connected like relatives, and with that comes responsibility to care for one another, to show respect to one another, and to support each other as a part of a larger community. And I challenge us to think on this, how our voices as human beings might look different if we truly saw each and every one of us around us as family. How would we treat each other? How would our world look different? And Tamiak, that idea of family, can be a bit of a touchstone for us, a reminder that our lives are about relationships, belonging, and respect. I want to share one last brief video with you guys from Chief Darcy Paul from Scout-Kale First Nations. And what he's going to talk about is how this idea of Tamiak, this idea of how we are all connected, and that connectedness can have a lasting impact on generations. And as we move, looking back at truth, looking at what's happened, looking back on many generations of cultural and spiritual genocide, and then how do we also look forward to a time of reconciliation and healing? So I'm going to leave you with the words from Darcy Paul, because I think it really does a good job of summing that up for us.
And a lot of what we're doing here today is for our future generations. And that's a Tamiak. So Tamiak is a principle we live by, which talks about the past 7 generations. Everything we're doing here today is because of the past 7 generations. And everything we're going to be doing today, moving forward, is for the next 7 generations. Prior to contact, there's a premonition that our people were going to experience 7 generations of cultural and spiritual genocide. That it was going to take 7 generations to heal from that cultural and spiritual genocide. And the generation we are in right now is that 8th generation, that first generation of healing, that first generation of getting well again. So the youth that we see here today in 2025 that are in our schools, they're that generation that's starting to heal.
It's just that, with that, that our time together is going to come to a close. And I just want to thank everybody here for being an amazing and respectful audience this morning. And I encourage everybody to think on how truth and reconciliation can live out in our lives. We also invite you to attend one of the many celebrations that's happening in our community on September 30th. I know after tomorrow we won't see you guys for a few days with Monday and Tuesday off, but I do encourage you to take this time as reflection, and on September 30th to wear your orange shirts and to attend one of the local events that's happening for truth and reconciliation, as we think on Chief Derek Epps' words about how we can be allies and how we all carry this work forward together. So as we close, and as we're going to exit the gym, I'm going to ask first that we have our bleachers, we're going to stay put for a moment. Our grade 9 and 10 students on this side of the gym here, I'm going to ask that you guys can stand up, you can stretch your legs, and you can exit out one of the 2 doors to the side here, and in just a moment, we're going to get the other side going. And grade 12's in the theater, you guys can head back to your classes.